joking. What is happening with you guys? Midnight here, back with another video. Today, we're finally back on BeamNG.Drive. I think it's been probably 2 months or more since I played this game. My prior uploads for this game were pre-recorded, so I really haven't played this game since this past spring. In today's video, we're going to be comparing a couple of mods. I know I've already done a couple of videos on this mod right here, the S650 Mustang, but we got a couple new variations to check out. This one being the new Dark Horse SC. This one specifically is the track/handling pack. This is essentially the top of the line S650 that you can buy. Okay. You're joking. As I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, this is essentially the top of the line S650. This is obviously the Dark Horse, but then it is also supercharged. I think the real version of this car makes somewhere around 800 horsepower. And the coolest part, you can get a manual. MSRP, at least the person that I know who actually went ahead and got an allocation for one of these, said he paid around $120,000. Now, I don't know about you guys. This is a cool car. I don't know if a Mustang is worth 6 figures, but to each their own. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at this mod right here, as well as possibly the GTD variant, which was also added to this mod. And then we're going to be comparing that to another American muscle car, arguably the greatest American muscle car of all time, the C6 Corvette, and my personal favorite. But we're going to start out with this mod. So, again, Royal Renderings does an incredible job with the detail on these mods. I mean, this, from a visual perspective, is absolutely top tier. I mean, this is literally spot on. I mean, every single detail is just incredibly impressive what they're able to do. So we obviously have this crazy partially carbon fiber vented hood. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't know the actual specs of the Dark Horse SC, but again, they're so spot on with the details with these mods. I presume it is extremely similar to what the real car is. I do know it comes with these carbon fiber wheels, which honestly look pretty good. I wasn't a huge fan of them, but they actually look pretty solid. Got carbon on the front bumper here. I believe carbon on this front splitter. This really cool big carbon fiber wing. Extended ducktail trunk, these huge exhaust tips, which I think are similar to the GTDs, and I believe also carbon fiber on this diffuser here. I mean, all in all, this car just looks so good, and we have this, I mean, to me, it looks like my car in real life's color, the Vapor Blue. I don't know if this is actually an official color, but this car looks sick in this color with the black. And then on the interior here, pretty standard, which unfortunately, to my knowledge, I think the real car obviously comes with Recaros, I'm guessing. But to my knowledge, it is pretty much just like this. I feel like if you're paying that much money, even for the Dark Horse, and I've seen this on the Shelby, S650 Shelbys as well. They didn't really change anything on the interior, Like on the Shelbys, it's literally the Dark Horse steering wheel. They could have at least put a Cobra, a Snake on the steering wheel. Like, come on, if you're going to be paying that much money. But unfortunately, on the real cars, I believe it is pretty similar, that it is pretty much the same interior as the base S650 or the Dark Horse. And it's the same thing from the base of the Dark Horse. It is extremely similar on the interior. Besides that, you can get optional buckets, and the steering wheel. It has Alcantara on the inside, and then blue accent stitching. But for the infotainment and everything else to be the same, I would argue that is hugely of benefit to me, having a pretty much base model, and it is not a benefit for people that spend a lot of extra money to get a special version of the Mustang, and then it's not all that special. Just my 2 cents on that. I'm just going to go ahead and make a couple tweaks to the setup here. I just want to turn off the collision thing because it's really annoying. And then we'll get straight into driving this. Alright, now that we have this setup squared away, man, I just can't get over the fitment, how clean this looks. Really, really good stuff on this mod. So stupid. So the map we're on right now is called River Highway. It's one of my favorite maps of all time, and I really forgot how good this map is. This map is just amazing. It's extensive, and it has a perfect mixture of both, obviously a very long, expansive highway, and back roads like this. Go off the road. Uh-oh. I was playing earlier, I was playing without traffic. Might have to go back to that just because the cops can be very annoying. They make the traffic do weird things. I think we're gonna go ahead and turn off cops just because, yeah, just because of that. So as I said, I haven't played any BeamNG or used my wheel in probably over 2 months until today. As I mentioned in other videos, I've been moving and doing a bunch of other stuff, so I taken my setup down and really just didn't touch it for quite some time. Since I've been gone, if you guys follow the channel, obviously I have purchased my own S650 now, and it is a manual. So I am able to much more confidently assert my opinion on how the sim actually compares to real life driving. And this was something I really could never say before because I hadn't driven manual. something I touched on briefly after I first drove manual. I think it was either my last BeamNG video or one before that. And I will say, especially having driven my car pretty much every day over the past month, and even right before filming this, it is a world of a difference. I wouldn't say I'm as disappointed by the simulator as I maybe expected, though. It is definitely not the same. The biggest thing is really what I had talked about before, the lack of clutch feel and really just the lack of shifter feel as well. I would say compared to real S650 and my sim setup, the sim setup just feels incredibly loose. The steering wheel itself is excellent in that respect, but the pedals and the shifter, they both just feel loose and they really have no feedback at all. So that is definitely something I really want to work on improving with a new set of pedals and a new shifter. I think the shifter even more so than the pedals. The lack of clutch feel is, you know, not the best, but I think it doesn't kill the experience as much as the really loose and light feeling shifter does. So there's just nothing behind any of the shifts, and it shifts far too easily. So with that being said, I think that will probably be an upgrade I'll be making to my setup very shortly here. So I will say that it doesn't completely kill the experience though. Now, what are my impressions of this variation of the 650 mod? This is definitely, from what I remember from the other ones, I would say this is definitely the most unique and fun one I've driven, probably. I would say the suspension is still a little bit too compliant. As I was saying, the suspension is a little bit too compliant. I'm going to test the GTD variant after this and see how that compares. Man, it's just so hard, you can't see anything over the hood. Yeah, the suspension is just too compliant. The car still feels too floaty, and it lacks feel. I would say, ironically, compared to my car, this doesn't feel that dissimilar. Obviously, the real Dark Horse and Dark Horse SC is going to be a step up from my car, at least for now, until we get the mods on it, but yeah, it's very hard to compare. It's really not a comparable experience, but as best as I can compare it. And this is the handling package as well, which I believe is something insane, like I want to say like a $20,000 to $30,000 option on this car in real life. So I would expect a little bit more out of this. But yeah, this feels pretty, unfortunately, disconnected and kind of just floaty and lacking feedback compared to some of the other mods that I've used today before starting recording. So now here we have the GTD variant of this mod, and you can already tell some differences with it. To my knowledge, the real version of this car is largely carbon fiber. A lot of the car is made out of carbon fiber. So you can see we have carbon fiber hood, carbon fiber front bumper, carbon fiber front splitter, side skirts, diffuser, carbon fiber trunk, massive carbon fiber spoiler, carbon fiber roof, and again on the interior, which I believe the real cars are like this as well. Some pretty nice looking bucket seats, rear seat delete, and this is just the level of detail on these mods. You can actually see they added the rear suspension just how it is in the real car, which is really, really sick. But the fact that this is largely the same as the base model, I would say if you're spending this much money, I forget what the exact MSRP of the GTD is. I want to say it's like 300 something thousand. I would personally want at least, at a minimum, like maybe a different steering wheel, I would say. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about that, but let's go ahead and see how this sounds and drives in comparison to the Dark Horse SC. I have to say, I personally prefer the look of the Dark Horse SC quite a bit over this, but this is obviously a whole different beast in terms of track performance. Sound-wise, sounds the same. Pretty sure it's the same motor as the Dark Horse SC variant. We do have a dual clutch transmission. These come in automatic only. And I think it would be a waste to just keep this on the highway. Bruh. I'm still trying to form impressions of how this feels, honestly. Really interesting steering feel in comparison. It feels a lot more weighted, I would say. Definitely a heavier steering. I'm getting more feedback without a doubt. And I would hope that it has that for how much this costs, but you know, I'm sure the real car isn't like this. I'm not pretending like I'm reviewing the actual version of these cars, but in terms of the mod, how it compares to other mods, I would say definitely more feedback and weight in the steering, which is nice, but it still feels disconnected. And I'm not talking in a sense of, again, I'm not talking in a sense of real cars versus the mod. Obviously, there's a level of disconnection with the simulator versus real cars, but in terms of this mod versus others, the steering feels, I would say, very close to being good and impressive, but it's just that slight disconnect. I don't know if you guys can see that, but the spoiler is actually active. It actually moves, and if you're braking or accelerating, that is really, really cool. Again, just the level of detail on these mods just amazes me every time. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in track mode. And I did go ahead and remove traffic and turn off that stupid collision warning so we can properly test this thing out, give it a fair shake. So again, I really like the weight of the steering with this mod. This is definitely one of the better feeling steerings in terms of mods that I've tried. With the weight and the feedback. But it's still, as I said, it just lacks connection to what is actually happening, and it does lack some level of feedback as well. I think that's true of all S650s with the real cars. So obviously the GTD, I personally haven't heard people say that about the real GTD of the videos I've watched, and I would presume that both the GTD and Dark Horse SC, these very high trim cars, largely fix that with the way the power steering is calibrated and the way they're set up with the suspension, obviously. You know, this mod being, I think I don't know how mods are created in this game, but I'm assuming they're built on similar chassis and stuff like that, so that's kind of why across all versions of this mod it kind of shares those shortcomings in terms of the handling and the feedback and the feel. But again, the weight of the steering I really like. It's lacking some feedback, and it's lacking some engagement. Well, I went ahead and pulled out a little bit of a wild card here just to accentuate my point. We do have some weird stuff going on with the textures on the windows, so don't mind that. But this is an old Royal Renderings mod of the Mark V Supra. I actually just downloaded this today, and I wanted to pull this out really quick just to showcase. Obviously you guys won't be able to feel it through the video or anything, but just to kind of go ahead and drive with something that I was really impressed by the steering feel in and feedback. This one has some adjustments made to it. It has slicks and then pretty much all race suspension components, which we're comparing apples to apples. This is going to be a lot closer to a GTD or Dark Horse SC handling package than the stock Mark V Supra, obviously. I go ahead and start in sport here. Gauge nitrous. I love how connected the steering on this mod feels. Like, it is literally one-to-one direct. And of course this mod isn't perfect. As I said, this is an older mod. But I want to get this up into some twistier roads here, so I can kind of explain what I'm talking about better. So the first thing I want to talk about while we drive this very, very nice back road here is, for one, how much changing the parts actually impacts a good mod. So if you guys don't know about BeamNG, certain mods, not all of them, it depends how the mod is made, but some mods will give you the ability to actually adjust parts in the setup. So you can really, when there is adjustability available, you can really adjust everything from suspension to engine stuff, and it really gives you the freedom to play around with things and see how they change the car. And I will say, with this car with the stock setup versus doing race spec shocks and struts, sway bars, upgraded brakes, light flywheel, slicks, I actually can't believe how much different it feels than the stock setup. It's really, really impressive. And with that, it is way better. The tightness in the steering, the directness, it is so good. I mean, you actually feel the bumps in the road. You actually feel what the car is doing, what the tires are doing. It is just so impressive and so much fun. And I will say, these roads, whoever made this map is just a godsend, because this, I forgot how good this map is. It is so good. The way this holds the road with this setup, the predictability, the feedback, the weight, the tightness. I mean, I used another super mod on this channel, if you guys have seen that video, but that doesn't even compare to this. I mean, the powertrain on that is a lot crazier and fun to mess around with, but the handling on this is just, I've never had a mod handle this well. Now the problem is, we are running a huge shot of nitrous to liven up this powertrain a little bit more, and the engine does not really like that, so I have already had this blow up on me while I was using it, which was pretty funny. But so I want to just pull this out. I'm honestly probably going to make an entire video, maybe with this car, another car. This video is about muscle cars. Obviously, it's hard to really accentuate my point when you guys can't feel the difference for yourselves. But maybe you can see by the way I'm able to drive this versus the Mustang, just how much better a car like this with this setup and whatever they did with this mod. I mean, it's just insane. And with these slicks, I mean, this car is just on rails. That's the best way I can put it. Alright, now my friends, we are going to switch gears, quite literally. Something a little bit different here. So here we have a C6 mod. This variation is the Grand Sport with some track goodies on it. I figured this one is probably the most fair comparison of the cars we've been driving today. This is not a Royal Renderings mod. I honestly don't remember where I got this mod from, but this is one of my favorite mods just for the sound alone. So we're gonna go ahead and see how this drives. I've never driven this variation before, and then we'll finish off with a little more fun variation of the car. So as we can see, a lot of carbon parts on here: carbon front bumper, front splitters, side skirts, rear fenders, this license plate, rear diffuser, massive spoiler, carbon roof, interior full cage, buckets, really nice interior. This was a free mod, as best as I can recall. Just listen to that sound. So first impressions driving this here. This camera angle is not optimal. We have very little traction, as you can see. The steering felt super light, almost to where I thought the mod was broken when I started, but getting into pushing it here, to get up to some speed and you actually put it into a corner, actually does handle really nicely. All that we really need is some better tires on here, because obviously we have no traction. But yeah, wow, steering wise, really good feedback through the wheel. Nice weight, a little bit on the light side. I wish I had a little bit more weight to it. But the feedback is really good again. Very impressive. See, the only thing that's really missing on this setup is a better set of tires. So let me see what I can do about that. I don't want to mess up the setup too much, but let me see if we can get some more grip going here and really pull this thing together. Alright, so I don't know how well this is going to work. I attempted to go for a square setup here. So we got some 19x11s on both the front and the rear with 295/35 tires now and slicks. So without further ado, let's just give it a shot and see how this works now. Oh, much better. Even more feedback with these wheels. Not much more traction, but in corner grip definitely seems to be improved. Seem to be feeling more stability in the corners. most definitely. Still a little bit too much power for a track setup. I mean, is that really true? Probably not. Nice rotation of the rear there. The trail braking. I don't know where this variation of this mod has been all my life, but I needed this. This is so good. It's just absolutely... I don't know how heat management works in this game in terms of tires. I don't know if the tires actually get heated up or not. It's something I've always wondered, but I like to pretend that they do either way. And if you guys are watching this and you've never played BeamNG on a wheel before, I highly, highly suggest that you try it if you can. Because you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. You might think that I sound crazy by saying you can actually feel a difference when you change things on the car, and the cars actually feel different from each other, but I promise you that they do. And you gotta give credit to the developers of not only these mods and the way that they set them up, because that's really, you know, we don't get things like this in the base game, but you gotta give credit to the developers of this game as well. I mean, the physics in this game. Yeah, nice hookup in third now. And yeah, I think I'm taking this over the Mark V Supra that I threw in. I did not think this would be this good. Just that sound alone, even if it doesn't handle as good, but it really does. I think it's within a few percent as good as the handling of that Supra that I was just talking about. This could even be better, I'm not gonna lie. So when you have this powertrain, good suspension setup like this, I think we're gonna have to make a track driving video with this mod. Wow. Yeah, this compared to what I'm about to use, it's night and day in terms of handling and traction. Wow. That's hard to beat. That sound is very hard to beat. car definitely requires more focus to drive, but it definitely has a higher limit as well. Possibly above my limit. Alright, so there we go. I think that was a pretty good showcase of what this car can do. And man, this mod is incredibly impressive. Whoever made this, hats off to you, because this is a good mod. This is very, very good. I did not think this was this good. I've used kind of the straight line variations of this mod, which we're going to get to, but I did not expect this thing to handle this well. I honestly would give this car a very high score. Alright, so top off this video. You guys already know we had to do this. We have essentially the equivalent of a 1000 horsepower C6 ZR1 here. A massive 18 by 12 rear. I don't even know what the specs of this tire are, but it looks like a decent drag tire. I guess it's a mod I had. It's the only way I've been able to get some form of traction in this, so went with that. Stock fronts on race slicks. And I mean, just listen to this thing. I love the idle on these. It sounds so good. So, you already know what we gotta do. Take this thing on the highway. See if we can hook up and do some rolls with it to end off the video. Let's get it. Alright, I'm gonna show you guys what happens when we floor it in second gear. This will be about a 30 roll right here. That's what happens. Okay. We're not getting any type of traction in second gear. Now let's try third gear. A little better, but pretty much the same thing. I will say this thing handles surprisingly well as well. In terms of it's not as dialed as the last one we were using is, but in terms of feedback and feeling, this mod is honestly bar none. That's kind of where the S650 just falls short a little bit. Let's go ahead and do a 40 roll right here. So at least with this drag pack, we can hook in 4th gear. Still pretty sketchy, but it works. Oh boy. That is unfortunate. Ah, the sound of this mod, man. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, this road is insanely bumpy. I think we need a parachute on this, to be honest with you. The fact that we're able to keep it straight, though. Here we go, we're gonna get a long stretch here. Let's go ahead and do a 50 roll. Let's try that again. And this mod 100% deserves its own video without a doubt. Along with just the C6 mod in general, so... I mean, the sound of this and the look is just... This is one of the best sounding, closest to the real car sounding mods I've found. 'Cause we gotta get one clean run in here without crashing. I don't know how they possibly got this mod to sound this good, but whatever they did, it's insane. %, needs a parachute on this. The sound of this thing above 5,000 RPM is ridiculous. Oh no. Well guys, I think that's gonna do it for this video. Don't want to go too crazy with any of the mods. It's just kind of a taste of a couple different mods. And I don't know about you guys, but I think the C6 mod takes the cake without a doubt. Now, personally, C6 and C7 Corvettes are some of my favorite cars of all time, and I would 100% intend to own more likely a C7, but possibly a C6 or a C7 sometime within the next few years. So I personally have a bias towards this car, but I mean, how can you not? Listen to that sound, it sounds so good. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you thought about it. Let me know if you want to see more of any of these mods specifically, or other mods, or if you have other video ideas for me. I'd be happy to put them into play. And with that being said, I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.